Amy, let me tell you about a magical place that is so exactly designed to be enclosed space, year-round fun for the whole family that I bet you already know what I'm going to say before I even say the name. Let's say it together on 3. 1, 2, 3. Great Wolf Lodge. You got it, Amy.
My kids loved Great Wolf Lodge when we went. You probably already know that it has a huge indoor water park with a wave pool, lazy river, a bunch of massive water slides. But then your pack can hit the other attractions because wait, there's more.
Great Wolf Lodge has adventure-packed attractions like Magi Quest, a live-action game kids can play throughout the lodge, plus the Northern Lights Arcade. Spent some quality time there, so your kid who loves the lazy river and your kid who loves fantasy games will both have a great time.
Great Wolf Lodge also offers great dining options and complimentary daily events like nightly dance parties, all under one roof. Unpack the car once and you're settled in to have fun. And with 22 lodges across the country, you're always a short drive away from adventure.
We've both had such great times at Great Wolf Lodge, so bring your pack together at a lodge near you. Learn more at greatwolf.com and strengthen the pack. That person forgot my fries at Burger King. They're a narcissist.
What fresh hell?
Laughing in the face of motherhood.
My goodness, I don't know why you always complain about how hard it is to raise kids.
With Margaret Abels
and Amy Wilson.
I am also a crazymaker to people because I am a chaos muppet.
A podcast that solves today's parenting dilemmas
so you don't have to.
This is just so easy for you, isn't it? Hey, everybody. Welcome to What Fresh Hell, Laughing in the Face of Motherhood. This is Amy.
And this is Margaret. And today we are talking about Crazymakers.
Oh, this is a throwback for me, Crazymakers. I first learned about these as a very young person. And so I'm circling back again from a different perspective. I look forward to this.
The term Crazymaker was coined by Julia Cameron in her book, The Artist's Way, which we were discussing recently, and I just gifted to my sister-in-law, still in publication.
Yeah.
It is a book about kind of finding your artistic self.
Yeah, like she sort of argues like everybody has a creative self, right? And you're whole once you're honoring the creative part of yourself.
Yeah.
And you're not when you're not. That's her point.
Part of the book, and this is a part that you remembered and Erica, who works with us, remembered, and I had completely forgot about, that she uses this term crazymakers in it.
Yes.
Here is what she says. Crazymakers are those personalities that create storm centers. They are often charismatic, frequently charming, highly inventive, and powerfully persuasive, and enormously destructive. She says crazymakers can turn up anywhere. They can be your spouse, your child, your neighbor, your boss. If you are involved with a crazymaker, you probably know it.
Yeah. So I read this. This book came out in the mid-90s, and I read it. I was at the time just out of college and immediately recognized that the person I was working for was a crazymaker and that I probably needed to do something about that. But I didn't really put 2 and 2 together until I read this.
I like the line, if you were involved with a crazymaker, you probably know it. If I say to you, name 3 crazymakers in your life, I'm not going to say that to you because I know you don't want to publicly name 3 crazymakers. If I say to the audience, think of 3 crazymakers in your life, you can do it. Like most people can say, okay, yes, these 3 people I know, and they may be close to you. They may be distant from you. I mean, close-in crazymakers probably make you a little bit more crazy, but there's also people, you know, who you interact with very rarely who are also crazymakers.
Right. And I would argue that there are times like, you know, when we're late leaving for the airport, I might be the crazymaker and the rest of my family's.
Well, this is something we're going to talk a lot about, Amy, is the idea. There is an awesome scene. I know we were just talking offline about Succession. You're not a Succession watcher.
No, but I should be. I know.
There's an amazing scene in Succession that I have picked up this phrase in my own life where they're all horrible people in Succession, which is kind of famous for 3 children. The oldest child, who is like an insane, I don't even know what his diagnosis is. Let's just say narcissist, because that's the term everyone likes. And he's going through life and he hires this advisor. Oh my God, she's the best, the most wonderful advisor. And she comes in and she's advising them. And then she kind of tries to point out to him that something he's doing is terrible. And then someone's like, where's your advisor? And he goes, we're not working with her anymore. She turned out to be a toxic person. And it's just such a great summation of like the term crazymaker. A crazymaker is in the eye of the beholder. So it's possible that the crazymakers out there are thinking of us as their crazy makers. It's not necessarily clear.
Although I just was thinking about this airport example, like actually I'm not going with by Julia Cameron's example, and we should unpack because she describes it in such perfect detail. But like when we're late for the airport and I'm like, we have to go, and I'm stressed that we're going to maybe miss our flight. The crazy maker in that situation is the chaos maker, not the annoying person, but the person who's creating chaos where you've tried to create order. The crazy maker is a person who puts their socks on top of your recording equipment. That's a crazy maker.
That's a crazy maker. But I would say I have some overall pushback to that idea as a bit of a chaos person. I also want to bring in the idea, which I love, of the chaos Muppet and the order Muppet. Are you familiar with Muppet theory?
Yes, only for you having talked about it.
It's a little known, poorly understood philosophy that holds that every living human can be classified according to one simple metric. Everyone is either a chaos Muppet or an order Muppet.
And did Dahlia Lithwick invent this, or did she just circle it?
She wrote about it for Slate, but I do not believe she invented it. I think it's something that kind of cropped up in the Twitterverse of the 2010s, I believe.
Yeah, okay. All right.
Chaos Muppets are out of control, emotional, volatile. They tend to be blue and fuzzy. They make their way through life in a swirling maelstrom of food crumbs, small flaming objects, and the letter C. Cookie Monster, Ernie, Grover, Gonzo, Dr. Bunsen Honeydew, and Animal are all Chaos Muppets.
Okay.
She says Zelda Fitzgerald was a Chaos Muppet. Then you have on the other side Order Muppets. I'm thinking about Bert, Scooter, Sam the Eagle, Kermit the Frog, and the blue guy who is perennially harassed by Grover at restaurants. I don't even know that character.
Yeah. The Grover character in Sesame Street, he's waiting on it's just a long-suffering customer in a restaurant with the worst waiter ever, who is Grover.
Okay, so Grover is the Chaos Muppet, and a lot of the dynamics in the Muppet universe are Order Muppets versus Chaos Muppets.
Sure, every SNL sketch, every human interaction has a Chaos Muppet and an Order Muppet.
So Dahlia Lithwick, writing about this for Slate, says your first grade teacher was probably an Order Muppet. They sometimes resent the responsibility of the world weighing on their felt shoulders, but they secretly revel in the knowledge that they keep the show running.
But there's times when this is okay, right? Like every toddler is a Chaos Muppet and every parent is an Order Muppet. Like that's how that paradigm is supposed to go. And then crazy maker is when it's like a problem. Crazy maker is when you can't get your work done.
Well, this is a question. And I think of when I started thinking about this, I thought I am a Chaos Muppet by default. And I am also a crazy maker to people because I am a Chaos Muppet. But does it not count that Order Muppets are my crazy makers? Like, it's crazy makers only go one direction?
Crazy makers, well, Julia Cameron would say that a crazy maker is undercutting you achieving what you want in your life. A crazy maker is, the examples she gives are like the in-law who calls you, the week before the wedding and says, well, they told me that they weren't sure that you should be in the wedding unless you lost some weight. But I told them that wouldn't be nice. Like a triangulator is a crazy maker, a person who makes you late for the wedding because they forgot their shoes. That's a crazy maker. I mean, there can be like adorably disorganized, and there can be, do you secretly have
crazy maker, toxic people, basically.
Right. Do you secretly have an or in to make me not be able to do what I need to do, crazy maker?
Right. This is the famous person in my family who would approach people at family reunions and say, Amy, I really like you. I don't know why the others say that stuff about you.
Right. That's a crazy maker.
That's right. They're otherwise known as like a pot stirrer or somebody who is, they're specifically, it's not a clash of personalities. It's not just Chaos Muppet versus Order Muppet. It is a person who is trying to sow seeds of chaos. It's not personality mismatches.
Right. And they don't mean to, but like I'm thinking of an example of, it was probably a year ago, I was working on a deadline for the podcast. Like we were recording in an hour and I had to do this. And somebody called me and said, just so you know, something we were working on together, like a mom volunteer thing. Just so you know, Daphne, not her real name, Daphne is just devastated that she hasn't been able to participate in the way she wanted this year. But she said, if you leave some postcards at your front door, she'll come get them and she'll hand them out. I'm like, well, I can't do that to him. But she feels so bad. But she has some time this afternoon. So if you could please stop what you're doing, right? And find these postcards and get them from somebody else and leave them. She lives in an apartment building and your apartment building is a doorman. So if you could leave them with your doorman. So I stop what I'm doing with 45 minutes until something is due to get the postcards with my doorman so Daphne can pick them up because it really needs to happen right now. And do you think Daphne came to pick up the postcards that day or ever? No. And it's not Daphne who's a crazy maker. It's a person who called me is like, Daphne's very upset. And so you really need to stop what you're doing to do something for me. And I'm the full participant dum-dum who's like, oh, okay. Who doesn't say, not today. Sorry. It says like, okay, fine. I'll do it. Just give me a minute. I'll do it. So it does take two to tango with a crazy maker.
Well, yes. And spoiler alert, like that is where we're probably heading in this, is that it does take two to tango. But I think that in that we are trying to raise our kids to be good citizens and good people and people who are accommodating of others' needs in a thoughtful and careful way, we leave them vulnerable to crazy makers in a certain way. Like, I think that the fact that we were raised to be polite people who hopefully were helpers, that you have to really beware the crazy maker, because I think that there are a lot of people, and I mean, you hear this all the time, right? Like, oh, being called difficult is really just trying to be professional in a setting. Like, I think that women and like women who are trying to be helpful or maybe tipping in a little bit to pleasers are exceptionally vulnerable to crazy makers, because the crazy maker tends to tell the story of, it will be your fault when you devastate me if you don't do this for me today. Like somehow this person's problem is your responsibility, and getting roped into that.
Right. You've planned an outing. You've planned a little boat trip this afternoon and the crazy maker has a headache. So now nobody will be able to go on the boat trip somehow. That becomes, not only can you not go, nobody can go. That's a crazy maker.
Right. Or you've planned something and then the crazy maker is sort of saying like, oh, you must have forgotten that it's the special day where we were supposed to do something else. And it's like, well, we had 100 conversations about it. Why am I only hearing about special day right now? Let's talk about 3 top types of crazy makers, Amy. This is an article from Psychology Today, How to Handle a Crazy Maker. And they list these 3 top types of crazy makers. Narcissists. I feel like this is a word that has become like, she's a toxic person. Like, it's
people way overuse it.
A little bit of like everyone, like that person forgot my fries at Burger King. They're a narcissist. Like, okay, that's not, it just becomes a term for like someone you don't like. A jerk is basically a narcissist.
Right. And the real definition is much more narrow.
Much more narrow. Here is their definition of a narcissist. They often have disdain for emotions in others, often think less of people close to them. They try to control everyone around them and will use every available tactic to gain control. Mm-hmm. Their needs are paramount. Everyone else's needs are secondary. And they are high control people.
Yes.
Trying to control the way that you behave. And that is informed to some degree by seeing you as a lesser person.
Yes. It's somebody that they can use. And I'm thinking of, I was in the orbit of a very exciting, very well-known person for a while. And they want you in their orbit. And it's exciting to be in their orbit. And then all of a sudden you're like running to get their mocha latte for them. And you realize you've somehow become like an unpaid personal assistant or something. And then once you try to put some boundaries in that, they just move on to the next person.
Yep, that sounds familiar. That tracks, as the kids say. Mm-hmm. Second type is the drama cultivator, best known for their perpetual crises. They don't empathize with others because they are too wrapped up in their own chaos. They need you and your energy, don't want you to leave them, so they go to great lengths to keep your attention. Mm-hmm. Taylor Swift has a song called Mirror Ball, and it's about, she's like...
a drama cultivator?
I'm on the high wire trying to get you looking at me. Like, it's like she's a drama cultivator in this song, you know, like I have to perpetuate lots of stories and excitement around what's going on with me. And that is how we connect.
Mm-hmm. The person who might show up at your kid's birthday party and be like, how are you? Like, well, let me tell you, not great. Right. And all of a sudden you're out in the yard talking to the drama cultivator at your own kid's birthday party.
Yes, exactly. Exactly. Third type stealth bomber. This is the martyr that likes to keep score.
Okay.
Just when you think everything is okay, they get you. Their MO is to sabotage you while they look innocent.
Wow. I need an example of this.
Well, I think it's very much, I'll do it, Amy. Don't worry about it. I'll do it, Amy. Amy, I always do everything and you never do anything, right? Like it's that, it's no problem at all. Amy is just a user, like it's that kind of dynamic.
Uh-huh. Okay. All right. I think I've known a stealth bomber or two.
Yeah. I think there's probably even more types of crazymakers. And then the crazymakers have tactics. All right. So we're going to take a break and then we're going to learn about the crazymakers' tactics.
Hellions, it's time for some spring cleaning, and I don't just mean the coat closets. Doing your financial spring cleaning can actually be super easy when you let Monarch do your financial spring cleaning for you. One dashboard that gets your entire financial life organized. No more clutter, no more mess, no more logins scattered everywhere, just accounts, investments, property, and more, all in one place. Get your first year of Monarch for half off, just $50 with promo code FRESH. Monarch allows you to look not only at what you've already spent, but also to plan for the future. With Monarch, you can set savings goals, plan for big purchases, and notice spending trends before they become a problem. I can generate cash flow reports that show me what we spent this quarter, this month, what we're probably going to spend next month, and feel prepared, organized, and knowing how to plan for the future. No more surprises and a lot more clarity. Try Monarch. Use code FRESH at monarch.com to get your first year half off at just $50. That's 50% off your first year at monarch.com with code FRESH. All my kids learned to swim when they were little. It was super important to me that they be confident and safe in the water. There was only one problem with that: taking them to swim lessons. I mean, the pools were freezing. There were always cranky adults doing laps right there. And it was definitely not, for any of us, what you would call fun.
Amy, heard. But now there's Goldfish Swim School. Goldfish takes a really thoughtful approach to swim lessons, combining research-based teaching with a warm, kid-friendly environment that actually helps kids thrive in the water.
Every detail at Goldfish is thoughtfully designed to create a golden experience, from shiver-free, warm indoor pools to comfy waiting areas for parents to professionally trained lifeguards on deck.
Goldfish uses an approach called the science of swim play, which combines guided play with proven teaching techniques to help kids learn to swim, build water safety skills, and gain confidence, all at their own pace. Lessons are designed to meet kids exactly where they're at.
If you've been thinking about swim lessons or just wondering where to start, this is a great opportunity. Right now, Goldfish Swim School is offering a waived membership plus your child's first lesson free at participating locations.
Just visit goldfishswimschool.com/free to find a location near you and enroll using promo code FREE.
That's goldfishswimschool.com/free, promo code FREE.
Amy, when I'm having a good hair day, it usually makes my whole day better. And that's why on every day, I'm taking Nutrafol.
Nutrafol is the #1 dermatologist-recommended hair growth supplement brand, and it's the #1 hair growth supplement brand personally used by dermatologists. Nutrafol's hair growth supplements are peer-reviewed, NSF certified for sport, and clinically tested.
Nutrafol offers multiple formulas for men and women, tailored to different life stages and lifestyle factors, so you get support that's actually right for you. Adding Nutrafol to your daily routine is easy. Order online, no prescription needed, with automated deliveries and free shipping to keep you on track.
Let your hair be one less thing to worry about. See visibly thicker, stronger, faster-growing hair in 3 to 6 months with Nutrafol.
For a limited time, Nutrafol is offering our listeners $10 off your first month subscription and free shipping when you visit Nutrafol.com and enter promo code LAUGHING.
That's Nutrafol.com, spelled Nutrafol.com, promo code LAUGHING.
So I struggled a little bit with the Crazymaker definitions, and I think the tactics are very, very familiar. Okay?
All right.
Tactic number 1, the double bind. I want you to have fun. I want you to go and have fun. I'll just be here all by myself.
Yes.
Right? Like there's no win situation.
Yes. So in my own situation, I was working as a personal assistant for a well-known actor for a couple of years. And I started to get auditions of my own. This is back when I was acting. And I was asked to put aside my own auditions so that I could help this actor prepare for their auditions, because their auditions were for, something real and mine were just for like some little thing I was never going to get anyway. So couldn't I see that it was much more important for me to not go to my audition so I could get them ready for their audition? And again, I fully was like, you're so right. This is my job. Your audition is more important.
Yeah. Pleaser plus narcissist. Bad combination.
Yeah.
This is one I very much related. This is my kryptonite. Inconsistent praise. You will love this, Amy, because there's a scientific explanation for it. Inconsistent praise tends to elicit desired behavior the most. Animal researchers have discovered the best way to train an animal is with inconsistent praise. Gambling, this is what makes gambling addictive because it's inconsistent rewards. Someone who praises you all the time is not interesting to you. Someone who never praises you is not interesting to you. Someone who praises you inconsistently is extremely interesting to you.
Right. Like it's like a slot machine. Like, is it going to work this time?
I always say I'm a sucker for the hard to please authority figure. Like Simon Cowell, that's my kryptonite. Like,
yes.
I am the only one who pleases the inconsistent praiser. That is my kryptonite.
Yes. Most acting teachers are inconsistent praisers.
This is every acting teacher you've ever met. Every male acting teacher, I would say, you've ever met, which is like, Amy, you are beauty itself and God's gift to acting. And then it's like, oh, Amy, you know nothing about acting. It's like the addiction of that. It's so...
I had a female acting teacher, actually, who was very stingy with her praise. And I finally did an acting exercise well. And this was like beginning acting, which is like stand there and breathe, be a cow, whatever, like trying to not fail at the most simple exercises. And I forget what it was. I just remember the feeling of like, I nailed that. I did it so well. And she came up and she looked at me and said, this is just so easy for you, isn't it? It was like the most like unpraisey praise. Like I had done it well, and now she was mad at me that I'd done it well. It was too easy for me.
Well, we talk about too, like we want the dental hygienist to be like, wow, you have the cleanest teeth I've ever seen. It's like, yes, gold star for me. I have the cleanest teeth. I sat the stillest during my blood draw. Like everything is like, we're praise seekers, which can be fine, but it can be a problem if we run into someone who uses that as a tool. Mm-hmm. Another tactic is selective memory. Conveniently forget any problems you've had with them when they want something. Throw everything you've ever done wrong when you're in trouble.
My crazymaker, not all crazymakers have to do all of these things, right? They're just arrows in your quiver.
No, absolutely. These are just arrows in the quiver. Arrows, that's well said.
Okay.
They don't empathize. So empathy is a developed trait. So developmentally, we've talked plenty about it, that like kids develop empathy at a certain point. And I think that crazymakers lacking empathy it's a given. That tends to go along with the narcissism and that genre.
Okay.
I was wondering, because we've talked so much about low power strategies of dominance with kids, like a kid who throws a tantrum, like that's a low power strategy of dominance. And a lot of these kind of reminded me of that. It's like people who are very desperate for control, like they don't trust in the like normal strengths of a friendship. And so they kind of go for these strategies of closeness and dominance, because they somehow don't trust like the bond. I remember when I was dating my now husband, he had been married before, and he said on a date, like, I just don't really understand what we need from each other, like what you need from me. And I said, that's good. That's a normal relationship. Like the lock and key thing of like, I can't survive without you. That's a very immature relationship, like a side-by-side relationship. You and I have a friendship and a partnership, but like, I don't keep track of you. I don't know what you're doing most of the time. We're not enmeshed at all. So it involves quite a bit of trust,
Yes.
That like, I don't lose sight of you and think like, oh my God, what if Amy's thinking about quitting the podcast? I have to like constantly like trick her into still doing the podcast. I just figure like, okay, we'll both keep doing the podcast until one of us doesn't want to do the podcast anymore.
Right.
But that takes a level of like calm that I think people are lacking.
You know, I was working, before I was doing this podcast, I was working with a writer on some stuff, 2 writers. A writer that then was like, I'm going to bring my friend, we're all going to write this comedy together. Like, okay, I'll do this. I wanted something to collaborate on, and this gift from the universe hadn't occurred yet. But anyway, I was working with 2 guys, one of whom had kids who were older than mine, and one of whom didn't have kids at all. And it was the guy who didn't have kids at all. Like if we were going to meet at 2:00 at a diner or whatever, he'd walk in at 2:45 and then be like, I have to leave by 3:30. Like he came late and left early to every meeting we had. He wasn't out to ruin my life, but he was definitely a crazy maker. And eventually I had to be like, I can't work with you guys anymore because I hired a babysitter to be here at 2:00. And then you walked in 45 minutes late and you have to leave half an hour early. And then it's going to happen again next time. I was also paying the bill rather more often than some other people. And anyway, it wasn't like this guy like woke up in the morning like, I'm going to totally do everything I can to put this person at the end of their rope. But it just was somebody who I think wasn't mature enough to consider the group. And so we're in the service of that.
I definitely, in looking at all this stuff, I thought, wow, that reminds me a lot of my relationships when I was young. And I do think that there's a certain insecurity at the base of these kind of relationships. One of my closest friends to this day, he and I became friends in college, and we would go to the movies. That was what we did together. And he would come meet me, and we were in New York City. Often it was cold or raining or whatever. And I would say, let's meet at 2:15 at corner of, Lex and then we'll walk to the movie theater. And I would show up at 2:12 and he would show up at 2:35. And I said, you can't be late. It's very rude. It's very disrespectful. And he's like, oh yeah, I'm just disorganized. Like that's my thing. And then I started to stop waiting. I would just go to the movie by myself. And it was before cell phones. And sometimes he would come to the movie and be like, you're here. What happened? I said I'd meet you at the corner at 2:15. I waited until 2:20, 2:25 and I left. And he still talks about that. Like, you left. And it's like, yeah, because I what's my other option? To do this 1,000 times? And I do think that there's an interdependency to the crazy maker that is like, on the one hand, this person is showing up 45 minutes late. On the other hand,
you're letting them.
You're not leaving and you're not saying, I don't want to do this anymore. You're doing the dance with the crazy maker. And I think when you're younger, this often feels very thrilling. And my mother said this. My mother was a therapist. She's died now, but she would talk about this. And it's one of those things that made such a strong impression on me. She would say about people, well, they fight because they don't trust closeness unless they're fighting. That like fighting is closer than not speaking. And fighting is closer than a peaceful relationship. Like you and I have a close relationship, but if we're in a fight, we're in a closer relationship. Like I'm saying to other people, Amy's such a jerk. And do you know what Amy did? And it's like we are bound very tightly by fighting in a way that a kind of peaceful interaction. Like, how's Amy? Oh, I think she's pretty good. I haven't talked to her in a little while, but I think she's great. We'll record next week. I'll see how she is then. It's like, I do think that there's an insecurity at the base of the crazy maker relationship that pulls people tight together.
Yeah, there's like a dopamine fix. And if you're in the fight with the person, that's more interesting than, I don't know, like not much to talk about. Let's just sit here in peaceable silence. If you're not somebody that feeds, then.
Yeah. And I, as a young person, I was very, very addicted to the relationship of, I am the person who this person who doesn't like anybody likes. Like I found that to be the most exciting place to be, that I was the person who doesn't like anybody likes.
Yeah.
That like I was the singer that Simon Cowell said, you're a really, really good singer. Like that. And in relationships, I tended to date people who were difficult.
Who didn't have a lot of, right. Who didn't have other relationships because you would unlock the secret.
Didn't have functional relations. I mean, right. Nobody writes love songs that are like, we got along pretty well after we met on eHarmony and then we got married and we don't fight that much and it's pretty good. Like, that's not a love song. Like the love song is like, I found you broken in a million pieces and I put you back together. And like the problem is you're talking about a crazy maker at the end of the day.
It's very 90s. You know, I was looking at The Artist's Way and what she had to say about crazy makers and like, why are these crazy makers in our lives? Like, I thought, well, like, our crazy makers are in our lives because we're related to them or because we work for them, right? Or because we live next door to one or whatever. Like sometimes they're just assigned to you. But there was a very 90s sort of thing. I think I've been thinking about this a lot recently. It's like, well, you have a crazy maker in your life because you secretly want a crazy maker in your life. Like you like, in Julia Cameron's case, she was like, you want to be blocked creatively. You think you don't, but you really do. You really want to be broken. And so you have this person in place to make sure you'll never succeed. And if you're going to get around that, you need to wonder why you like to have people who keep you from creating things. I think the answer might be a little bit more simple, which is just to say, I'm going to leave because you were 10 minutes late.
I think sometimes and not always. I definitely think that creativeness takes a huge amount of daring, and putting blocks in between yourself and success is something that people do because they're afraid to say, I am actually just putting myself out here because I think I'm talented and I want other people to see that. It's a hard thing to say. And so I do understand.
Right. Or like there was nothing in my way. There was nothing in my way and I still didn't do it. Instead of I could have been a contender, right? It'd be easier to say that.
That being said, I think there's also plenty of times where you have a crazy maker in your life because it is someone who you are forced together with, who is trying to make you crazy because they are fundamentally trying to undermine you because they don't like the position in your life. And I think this is why one crazy maker that a lot of people think of is someone like a mother-in-law.
Right.
Because that spot, this is not my mother-in-law, this is not Amy's mother-in-law. We are both lucky to have fantastic mother-in-laws. But in general, I think that spot is a spot where like that used to be her job. Now it's your job. And so you both are kind of sometimes trying to undermine each other to prove that you are the person who really belongs in that job. Mm-hmm. And therefore, your mother-in-law becomes crazy maker to you. Like, oh, I guess if you want to do it that way, that's fine. I guess if that's the way you want to do it. Pause. That's certainly not the way we used to do it. That's certainly not the right way to do it. That crazy maker behavior comes from trying to block you. Similarly, your actor boss is saying to you, well, your audition is not as important as my audition, because of course they're secretly fearful that you're going to get a job and leave.
Right.
Like there's a reason. My mother would always say, nobody does anything for no reason.
Right.
People do things because they work, right? People are in relationships with other people because it's familiar to them. It doesn't mean it's good, but it is serving them in some very fundamental way. And the crazy maker is having selective memory and giving inconsistent praise for a very specific reason, which is that they want to hold you close and they don't know how otherwise, or they want to defend their spot from you.
Right. That makes a lot of sense.
All right, we're going to be back with our favorite solutions to crazy makers after this.
At DSW, we ask the important questions, like, what shoes are you going to wear? Whether you're prepping for wedding season, festival season, or just planning the ultimate vacay, the right shoes can make or break an RSVP. So own the moment. You've got big plans, and we've got just the shoes. At the perfect price, of course. Get ready to get ready with Designer Shoe Warehouse. Head to your DSW store or DSW.com today and let us surprise you.
My favorite skincare products actually feel more like self-care, like they're so nice to put on and they smell so good that I'm actually happy when I get to that part of my day. And I swear that is how I feel about Osea's anti-aging body balm.
Amy, you are usually the lotions and potions queen on this podcast, but I have to say, hard agree.
Osea's anti-aging body balm is a liquid silk body balm that combines the lasting hydration of a lotion with the firming power of a serum, leaving skin smoother and firmer.
This body balm is clinically tested and designed to deliver visible results you can see and feel.
So we've gotten to use this product for a couple of months now, and I swear I have really noticed firmer and smoother skin, like on the back of my hands. It's like getting a mini spa treatment from head to toe.
Get a spring-worthy glow with clean, clinically tested skincare from Osea. And right now, we have a special discount just for our listeners.
Get 10% off your first order site-wide with code FRESH at OseaMalibu.com.
That's 10% off your first order with code FRESH at OSEAMalibu.com. And now, translating your mother-in-law.
From the What Fresh Hell podcast.
She says the kids were angels after babysitting.
She means, my goodness, I don't know why you always complain about how hard it is to raise kids. I fed them a huge bowl of ice cream every time they cried and bought them $100 worth of new toys. And we had such an easy day.
She says, oh, did I just call you Diane? Oh, my bad. He used to date a girl named Diane.
She means, I like Diane. I always dreamed it would work out for him and Diane. You? Not as great as Diane.
She says, I totally respect your rules. We will abide by your guidelines at all times.
She means, this 8-page document you have handed me about how to care for a baby is bonkers and also vaguely insulting. I will pretend to read it carefully in order to appease you, but then I'll just do exactly what I did with the 6 children I successfully raised to adulthood. But thanks for the suggestions.
She says, I love that you play with your kids and don't let yourself get bogged down with all the little details.
She means, your house is an appalling mess and your cooking is an embarrassment.
She says, don't you look nice today?
She means, I see you've taken off your sweatpants and at least attempted to do something with your hair. How nice for us all.
She says, I cherished every single day with my babies. I enjoyed every single second of their amazing childhoods.
She means, it's been 30 years since I had a baby in the house and I have completely blocked out the reality of what that experience actually involved.
This has been Translating Your Mother-in-Law.
From the What Fresh Hell podcast.
Amy, let's talk about strategies for dealing with crazymakers.
Okay, because they're tricky. Like what you think might work doesn't always work.
Yeah, I mean, I'll start at the very beginning, a very good place to start. I mean, I think that crazymakers draw you into a world that they define. And so recognizing that is very important. That if I say to you, like, oh, Amy, but everyone will be heartbroken if you don't bring the thing. The party will be ruined if you don't bring the elaborate dessert.
Creamed onions. Right.
The cream white onions. This is a reference to my grandmother once said to my mother years and years and years ago, it's not Thanksgiving if there's not cream white onions. And so my mother in the Thanksgiving preparations took a great deal of time out and made cream white onions, which are very annoying to make. And then my dad passed them to my grandmother who said, oh, I don't like them. Thanks.
So you're in that situation.
Right. Like the spoiler is that letting the crazymaker define the situation is where it starts to go off the rails. When you say to somebody like, well, Amy, the party will be ruined if you don't bring your 8-layer casserole dip. Maybe, maybe not. Like that's letting that person define.
But the answer is not like, why? I don't think anybody likes that dip. The answer is like, oh, I just don't make it as well as you do or something like that. Like, is there a way to get out of it that's still...
I think either one. I think there are many strategies, but I think the big picture is recognizing the moment where things are being defined by somebody as factual in a way that may or may not be true.
Right. Like I have to bring the postcards downstairs right now in the next 45 minutes because Daphne's devastated, which, yeah. No.
Like that. Or
yeah,
everyone's Christmas will be ruined if you don't come. My Christmas won't be ruined. My Christmas is going to be better if I don't come. So it's not true that everyone's Christmas. And also, who are you speaking for? Do those people, like we take these things at total face value as facts. It will be ruined if you are not there is a statement that is just someone else's truth. It is not the truth.
Okay.
Take an observer's point of view. This is from Psychology Today. Something about detaching and seeing a crazymaker from an observer point of view that helps you not get engaged in the mess. This is sort of what we're talking about, is saying, is this statement that the crazymaker is making true? if you don't do this, everything we've done up to this point will be for nothing. Amy, if you quit the podcast today, everything we've done on the podcast will have been for nothing.
Mm-hmm.
That's a very strong and a very upsetting statement, but it's not the truth.
I'm thinking like it's time to leave for the airport. It's time for the Crazymaker to leave for the airport and they can't find their passport and they're turning the house upside down and they might miss their flight. But where I think sometimes lose a little bit of boundaries is, but I'm not missing the flight. Like they might miss their flight and that would be bad for this other person. But you can see it from an observational point of view. It isn't the last plane to ever fly and it isn't you. I can get enmeshed and feel like them finding them their passport so they can make the flight is as important to me as it is to the Crazymaker.
For sure. And I think that letting other people define the world is where we go terribly wrong. I know somebody who was married to a troubled person for a very long time, and this person made their own choices, and the person they were married to ended up living a life that said that person ruined my life. And their own choices and their own, bad decisions were never addressed. It was that this other person had ruined their life. And I think for people who are generally decent people, we were talking about this in something else, that like that hurts your feelings because that person is trying to hurt your feelings, not because you're a weak person. And, if somebody says to you, like, Amy, you're a bad mom, I don't care who says that to you. It's going to hurt your feelings. It's a hurtful thing to say. It hurts your feelings because that's the point of it. And I think it makes you crazy because that's the point of it. And it pulls you in because it's very loaded. It's not because you're foolish and naive and susceptible and manipulatable. It works because it's designed to work.
Mm-hmm. But the way out is not, I will eventually convince this person that I still am a good daughter, even if I don't come for Christmas this year.
Not your job.
Right. That you don't have to finish. That won't happen because that's what's going to keep you coming back for more.
Another option, keep a healthy distance. This can be really good with quicksand that you keep falling in again and again and again, is to say, I need to see this person less. Because listen, people who are good at making you crazy are good at it. And they enjoy it. And so I do think at some point distance is the only option, is to say, I'm going to interact less, because we're talking about strategies, taking it from an observer's point of view. It's easier to do if you only have to do it twice a year.
Mm-hmm.
It's harder to do if you're doing it 8 days a week. It's just when you're the person who, this is a person chipping away at your truths and your knowledge. And so once a year, I can step back and say, I'm going to listen to somebody say, I've ruined everything by not being here more often, but I'm not going to come more often. I'm just going to have to, I can put my armor on once a year and get through this. But if it's every single day, it's going to break me down in a way that's not healthy for me.
Yeah.
And then the other two suggestions, which I think are decent, but they're kind of like, yeah, and also like learn to fly, maintain a healthy sense of self-worth and cultivate internal validation. Yes, but easier said than done. Like,
yeah, do yoga first, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think that some of this is age. Like, I am really not as I was very susceptible to Crazymakers as a young person.
Yes.
If someone said to me, it's your fault that I'm unhappy, I'd be like, okay, life, I have to get off. I have to stop everything. This person is unhappy because I've made them unhappy.
Yes.
Everything has to stop until I've fixed that, because that's unacceptable. And I do think I'm much better at saying, try not to get into like, I am sorry you feel that way, because it's, some of the phrases are kind of tells. But I do think that taking, what I find to work the best with Crazymakers is taking everything at exactly face value, because it kind of robs the power of the manipulation. So, but Christmas will be ruined if we're not there. Oh, that is going to be really, really hard. And I'm sorry. Anyway, we'll be there next Christmas, but I'm sorry that Christmas will be ruined for you all. That is hard and sad, but we'll be there next time.
Yeah.
But not like, no, we can fix it. No, we can this. No, it
won't be ruined. Right.
I'm sorry that for you, that is going to be your experience of the holiday. I'm sorry that the party is going to be ruined if I don't bring my dip. But, I'll come. We'll try to make the best of it. But yeah, that's too bad.
I like that.
You just kind of take everything at face value and you don't get sucked into the madness.
Julia Cameron says here, because you were talking about like, what does this mean to cultivate your inner self? She says you can slowly expand, soothe, and mend yourself. Again, I'm not sure it starts with like, I'm so broken and that's why I have a crazy maker. Like sometimes your boss is a crazy maker, but it's a slow expansion, right? It's a slow, like, I'm going to take up space. When your boss tells you this has to be done in 15 minutes, it takes 20. And then you tell them they can have it by the end of the day. And then you tell them you're not going to be able to get to it till next week. It's a slow process of setting boundaries and pushing them out a little bit at a time.
And it is a dance that involves two partners. That's the thing. I mean, it's a jack in the box and you wind it up and it pops. And so you do have a locus of control within it, which is not popping anymore for the crazy maker. And I think that certain people can still make you crazy and you can go on the drive home and be like, well, I just was fuming the whole time that person was trying to blame me for everything that went wrong, even though I had nothing to do with it or whatever. But in the situation, if you stop reacting, the behavior will stop, or they'll find somebody else. Like,
right. It'll probably get more intense first and then eventually it would move to somebody else.
Absolutely. And I wanted to highlight this term. Do you know the term gray rocking?
No, I hadn't heard this before.
It's they talk about it a lot when dealing with like borderline personality disorder, narcissistic personality disorder, that again, going no contact is more engaged in a way than gray rocking. They're trying to find this middle ground where it's like, we're not speaking. That is an engagement. Like not speaking is another form of engagement because it implies that there's going to be an end to it. We're in a fight. And that gray rocking is a strategy. This is from psychcentral.com. It's a strategy for protecting yourself from abusive or toxic friends, partners, coworkers, or family members. This method theorizes that when dealing with an emotionally abusive or narcissistic person, withholding your reactions can put a stop to their behaviors. If you show no emotion, they won't get the thrill of enjoyment out of their harmful behavior. It's important to underscore, sometimes not safe to do in an abusive situation because the person might double their efforts.
But as I say, they'll redouble their efforts. This makes it sound like if you just don't give them any, it sounds like a tantruming toddler. Now, some people are much more manipulative and much more used to getting what they want than that. And doing this once won't solve your problems, but doing this once might make you feel a little bit better because you're not taking on their emotional state.
And I do think with the person who's like, how's it going? Oh my God, I need to talk to you. Everybody's died. I have this and oh my God, and it's a drama and a crisis. And you're like, that does sound difficult. I can do lunch in 2 weeks, but I'm busy right now. And just trying to be available, unavailable. Basically, this is the equivalent of blank facing a toddler in tantrum. Mm-hmm. That like your tantrum upsets me is why the tantrum works and it keeps going on, and that your chaos draws me in, that to the degree that you do not get drawn in, there's a million other people who will. So if you can kind of gray rock and blank face it, they are going to find the people who, when they call, are like, let me drop everything. Yes, my baby's crying, but I don't care. You've got a crisis and I have to run towards it with gasoline and matches.
Right.
That this theory is saying like, slow your roll and calm down.
Mm-hmm.
I will finish with Julia Cameron, the inventor of the term crazymaker. It is unlikely that you can change your crazymaker, but you can come to understand why this connection to the person is so strong for you. You can pull away, pull back into your own power, and own your right to make decisions for yourself. Any intense relationship works like a mobile. You cannot move one piece without affecting the others. So while the situation may feel dire and you may feel powerless, you do hold the potential to alter it.
Right. And I would say to alter yourself, not to alter the crazy maker. That's not your job to make them change their ways. You can change your ways.
Yeah. You can stop dancing. You can stop playing your role on the mobile.
Yeah. Okay.
Mobile? How do you say that? I don't know. I'm a crazy maker.
Next week, mobile or mobile? Do you know that we are on YouTube and you can see the whole version of this episode and all of our episodes just by going to youtube.com, typing in What Fresh Hell Podcast.
Go check us out.
Oh, and follow us. And you subscribe on YouTube, which is free. It doesn't cost anything, but that means it'll show you our stuff and it'll help YouTube know what kind of people like this kind of content and hopefully get it in front of some new people.
Yeah, and see us in the real live person while we're chatting away.
Hope that's not too weird.
With that, people, go gray rock your Crazymakers and have a good week.
So long.